Can you hear me? Shall I start now? Only five participants. Good evening, everybody. So, we are going to start the lecture, Industrial Safety and Occupational Health. I am Dr. Engineer Udeni Wickramasinghe. Uh, I was the former chairman of Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission under the Ministry of Education. Then before that, I was the former secretary, Cabinet Ministry Secretary of Ministry of Agrarian Services and Wildlife. Then before that, I uh, worked at the Ministry of Defense as the additional secretary. Mm, I graduated as a mechanical engineer from the Faculty of Engineering, University of Sri Lanka, Peradeniya campus in 1978. After graduation, I worked various government departments, corporations, and I retired in 2015 as the Cabinet Ministry Secretary of Ministry of Agrarian Services and Wildlife. Thereafter, I joined other private sector organizations, and finally, I was appointed as the chairman of the Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission. Uh, Legislation to ensure safety and health of workers in Sri Lanka was first introduced in 1942 with the enactment of the Factories Ordinance number 45. This ordinance was revised by the Factories Amendment Act number 54 of 1961 and then Factories Amendment Law number 12 of 1976. Later, this Factories Ordinance, they introduced amendments again from time to time. At the end of the lecture, I will explain the number of amendments they did. This lecture covers some important aspects of the Factories Ordinance. It should be read in conjunction with the Factories Ordinance and related regulation issued from time to time. Scope. Scope, as the title suggests, this law given coverage only to factory workers. Workers in other establishments such as shops, offices, etc. are excluded. This manifests as an injustice to non-factory workers since safety and health is as vital to them. This injustice has been rectified in many other countries by extending the coverage to all employees except perhaps to domestic servants in private employment. The law applies to factories belonging to private, public, and corporation sectors. It covers all sectors in the country. So we will see what is the definition of the term factory. The Factories Ordinance defines the term factory differently to the common man's concept of a factory. In terms of the definition, the following conditions have to be fulfilled for an establishment to be legally considered as a factory. Number one, it should be situated in a premises. The factory should be situated in a premises. Number two, persons or at least one person should be employed and in manual labor. Number three. Number four, for making of an article or part of an article or altering, repairing, ornamenting, finishing, cleaning, or washing, or breaking up, or demolition, or adapting for sale of any article. Number five, work should be carried out by way of trade or for purposes of gain. So there should be some sort of gain when we consider it as a factory. Number six, the employer should have the right of access to and or control of the premises. That the owner should have the right of access to the factory and he must have the control of the premises. In addition to above, the following are some of the things some places are deemed to be factories under the law, although they do not conform to the above definition. There are certain places which does not tally with the definition, but yet we will consider them as factories. Number one, A, any yard or dry dock in which ships or vessels are constructed, reconstructed, repaired, refitted, finished, or broken up. B. Any laundry carried on as an ancillary to another business or public institutions. Then C. Any premises where making or mending of nets is carried out incidental to the fishing industry. Then D. Any premises used for storage of gas in a gas holder having a capacity of not less than 5,000 cubic feet. E. Certain building and other construction works. Then we will see the purpose of the law. The purpose of the law is to provide safety, health, and welfare to persons employed in premises to which the law applies. Safety means the provision of an accident-free working environment. That is the safety means the provision of an accident-free working environment. Then health means the prevention among works of disability and disease arising out of environmental factors, processes, and materials use. Welfare refers to the provision of minimum facilities such as success toilets, drinking water, washing facilities, and meal room to workers. Then we will see the important safety requirements as described in the factory's ordinance. Guarding of factory machinery occupies an important place among safety requirements. Three sections of the ordinance are devoted to this purpose. There are three sections clearly indicated the safety requirements under the factory's ordinance. First one, section 17 of the factory's ordinance. It is required that all moving parts of the prime mover, the source that provides the movement, that is the prime mover. So it is required that all moving parts of the prime mover should be securely fenced, that is securely guarded. That is under the section 17 of the factory's ordinance. Then section 18. Section 18 of the factory's ordinance describes it is required that all parts of transmission machinery such as belts, shafts, chains, tooth head wheels, etc., should be securely fenced. So that means all parts of transmission machinery. It's very important. The belts, shafts, chains, tooth head wheels, etc., should be securely fenced. That comes under the section 18 of the factory's ordinance. Then section 19. Section 19 says it is required that all dangerous parts of other machinery should be securely fenced so as to be safe to all persons employed or working in the factory premises. All moving and dangerous parts of machinery should be securely fenced so as to be safe to all persons employed. So that comes under section 19. That is, all dangerous parts of other machinery should be securely fenced according to the law. Then it says the term dangerous part has not been defined in the ordinance, and the only guidance in this regard appears in the case law, which interprets dangerous parts. So, in the case law, the dangerous parts is described as given below, but it's in the bold letters, it is there in the slide. A part of a machine is said to be dangerous if it is reasonably foreseeable cause of injury to any person acting in a manner reasonably expected of a human being to act in circumstances that may reasonably expected to occur. That is clearly in the case law. It defines about the dangerous parts. However, if a dangerous part of any machine cannot by reason of the nature of the operation be secured by means of a fixed guard, the requirement of fencing is deemed to have been complied with if a device is provided which automatically prevents operator coming into contact with that part. Then a woman or a young person between 14 and 18, woman or a young person between 14 and 18 should not be permitted to clean any machine while it is in motion. Then we will see about the lifting equipments, how it indicates in the fact according to the factory's ordinance. So lifting, when we consider lifting equipment, it is hoists, lifts, chains, ropes, and lifting tackle. Lifting equipment should be periodically examined by a competent person. So this competent person, I will explain you in the later of the lecture. So these competent persons are appointed by the factories division of the Department of Labor. So they will call application from suitably qualified engineers, and they will organize interviews, and they will appoint competent persons. So according to the factories ordinance, it is indicated lifting equipment should be periodically examined by a competent person. So they are, after that, hoists and lifts should be thoroughly examined once in every 12 months. So hoists and lifts should be examined once in every 12 months. අවුරුද්දකට සැරයක්. Then whereas chains, ropes and other lifting tackle, chain, rope and other lifting tackle should so examined once in every 6 months. So twice a year, chains, ropes and lifting tackle has to be examined. So we will see hoists. Every hoist or lift shall be of good mechanical construction, sound material and adequate strength. Safety weight has to be indicated. In all these hoists, safety weight should be indicated in the hoist. If it is to be used to carry people, safe entrance and safe exit method shall be available. For hoists, safe entrance for people and safe exit for people shall be available. Safety locking mechanism for doors should be installed. So every hoist, the safety locking mechanism should be installed. So all these things coming under the section 27 of the Factories Ordinance. Section 27 of the Factories Ordinance. Then we will see chain, rope and lifting tackle. No chain or lifting tackle shall be used unless it is of good construction, sound material, adequate strength. No chain, rope or lifting tackle shall be used for any load exceeding the safe working load. So every chain, rope or lifting tackle, the safe working load has to be indicated, and no chain, rope or lifting tackle shall be used for any load exceeding the safe working load. And it should be checked every 6 months. As I mentioned earlier, it should be checked every 6 months by a competent person. All these things are covered under section 28 of the Factories Ordinance. කර්මාන්ත ශාලා ව්‍යාපනයේ 28 වෙනි කොටසේ ඔක්කොම සඳහන් කරලා තියෙනවා. Then we will come to the pressure vessels, පීඩන උපකරණ සම්බන්ධයෙන්. Safe pressure has to be indicated in the vessel. So every pressure vessel, we have to indicate safe pressure. Safety valve should be installed to the vessel. Every pressure vessel, there should be a safety valve installed. And the important thing, pressure gauge has to be fitted to the pressure vessel to see the value. Pressure gauge has to be fitted to the pressure vessel. Testing hole to be provided to inspect the inside of the vessel and for cleaning. Testing hole to be provided to inspect the inside of the vessel for cleaning. Then the pressure vessels, there are certain tests to be carried out, pressure vessels. For steel or non-ferrous pressure vessel, P equals to 1.5 into MAWP. What is MAWP? Maximum allowable working pressure. So, for the pressure vessel testing, for steel and non-ferrous pressure vessel, pressure should be 1.5 into maximum allowable working pressure. That is for the testing. For cast iron pressure vessel, in case of maximum allowable working pressure is less than 1 kilogram per centimeter squared, the P should be 2 kilogram per square meter, square centimeter. In case of maximum allowable working pressure is greater than 1 kilogram per centimeter squared, P should be 2 times the maximum allowable working pressure. Boilers, air receivers, and other pressure vessels, again, according to the factory's ordinance, there are certain regulations given. So we will see what are these regulations are. These vessels should be examined periodically, as I indicated earlier. These vessels should be examined periodically by an authorized person or the competent person in accordance with the following time schedule. So these are the time schedule indicated in the regulations. Boilers once in 12 months. So once a year, boilers has to be tested and give a test certificate by a competent person. Then next, gas receivers. Gas receivers once in every 12 months. Air receivers once in every 24 months. Steam receivers once in every 24 months. These vessels should have pressure gauges, safety valves, draining devices, etc. attached to them. Then you can see a cross-section of a fire tube boiler. There are two types of boilers, uh, water tube and fire tube boilers. So here I have indicated a fire tube boiler. You can see how it works, the rough diagram. In the Google, you can see all these things, very clear diagrams. If you go to the Google and you can search all these diagrams. So under the Factories Ordinance number 1942, number 45, if a boiler is transported or shifted to another place, it should be tested and certified again. So when the boiler is shifted or transported from one place to another place, again you have to test and certify. After major repairs, it should be tested and certified on completion. After completing the repairs, and again, boiler should be tested and certified by a competent person. Steam boiler attendance certificate of competence. So for boilers, boiler attendance uh, people, they have to get a certificate of competence for working in the factories. The Factories or Regulations 1965 and published in Ceylon Government Gazette number 14,495. That is the Gazette number dated on 3rd September 1965. So these uh, regulations are gazetted from time to time in the Government Gazette. So this 14,495 is the Gazette indicating the attendance certificate uh, competence. Class 3. Class 3, that is the minimum grade of boiler attendance, class 3, up to steaming capacity of 2000 pounds per hour. So up to steaming capacity of the boiler, 2000 pounds per hour. The class 3 boiler attendance has to be engaged. 1 year experience as a foreman or assistant to a certificate boiler attendant. Then class 2, up to steaming capacity of 6,000 pounds per hour. Up to steaming capacity 6,000 pounds per hour. Class 2 boiler attendants has to be there. And must have 3 years experience in attending to boiler. These are in addition to conditions of class 3, or in addition to class 3 qualification, this class 2 qualification should be there. Then class 1, up to steaming capacity above 6. Okay, sorry, there's a small error in the Zoom. So, class, can you all hear me now? Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Right, okay, sorry. Sorry for
Yes.
the. Then, right, I have explained class 2 mechanics, class 2 technicians, then class 1 technicians up to steaming capacity above 6,000 pounds pounds per hour. Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Huh? There's some wrong in the Zoom connection. No? Now you can see the screen. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So then next slide, boiler operators notes. Test safety valve monthly for its performance. Number 2, blow down frequently to clean interior of the boiler. Number 3, see adequate lights are there at switchboards, panel boards, water gauge, pressure gauge, temperature meters, and all other important places. Number 4, do not depend on fully automatic devices, they may fail. Test all automatic devices periodically. Then clean the boiler and keep it neat. Check the flame and flue gases at the chimney light brown. That's the color of the flue gases. Check temperature of the stack chimney. Check the feed water. Then clean filters periodically. When switching off the boiler, water should be at its maximum level. Those are the important things to be considered. Essential features of the good boiler. The boiler should be light in weight, compact, and should use less space. It should allow easy, cheap, and quick maintenance. It should be capable of starting very quickly. It should be capable of accommodating large variation of loads. In a boiler, the velocity of water and flue gas should be minimized after they overcome heavy frictional losses. All the joints and fittings of a boiler should be easily accessible. Water scaling and soot should not collect in and on its tubes. Those are the important things to be considered. Safe means of access and safe place of employment. Safe means of access to the place of work should be provided and maintained in a factory. If a person is liable to fall from a height of more than 6 feet, means should be provided to ensure his safety, such as by the provision of safety belts, nets, etc. For example, in construction sites, we have to be very precautiously taken these actions. The height, if the people they are working more than 6 feet height, no person should be permitted to enter a confined space unless steps are taken to remove any fumes, toxic or irrespirable gases. Persons entering such spaces should wear breathing apparatus and be provided with a lifeline. Occupational health. A close relationship exists between man's work and his health. It is possible to recognize four important relationships. Work can give rise to diseases. Work can exacerbate existing diseases. Illness may affect a worker's ability to work safely and efficiently. And work promotes health. Many diseases arise from exposure of workers to various environmental hazards, physical, chemical, biological, and psychological. Some diseases are made worse by certain types of work. For example, workers with chronic lung diseases such as chronic bronchitis experience worsening of their illness if exposed to very dusty environment. Standing for long period at work can aggravate existing varicose veins. The knowledge of the nature of work to be undertaken by a prospective employee is thus extreme importance, placing him, particularly if he has some disability, in a job best suited to him. People who suffer from certain illnesses are unsuitable for employment in certain types of work, as they may not be able to perform such jobs efficiently and safely. Such persons may not only expose themselves danger, but may in certain situations be a dangerous to other people in the factory. It is well known that persons suffering from red-green color blindness are unsuitable for employment as train drivers, and good visual acuity is essential for driving any type of vehicle. Deaf persons are unsuited for jobs where communication is important, and also in workplace where it is necessary to recognize auditory alarm signals. A pre-employment medical examination will assist in the proper selection of persons and should be mandatory in work which is dangerous or unsafe. Most people gain sense of satisfaction by working. It has been observed that when work is satisfying, there is an improvement in workers' health. If we are working in a very good working conditions, then it satisfies improvement of workers' health. Work that does not satisfy unemployment will conversely lead to poor health. It has been found that the health of retired persons who have enjoyed good health throughout their working life deteriorate rapidly if they are not usefully employed in some activity. Certain special problems in common with other developing countries occur in Sri Lanka. In tropical countries, heat is a problem experienced in many working situations, including working outdoors. Many workers suffer from discomfort and fatigue, and some experience heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. Certain materials and processes which are found in Sri Lanka have not been adequately studied. Many vegetable dusts, such as rice husks, coconut husks, chili powder, tea fluff, the adverse effects about which little information is available, need further study. So these are the important things we have to consider. With changing technology, modern machines and processes are introduced, replacing old technology with new. In agriculture, tractors and other machinery as well as fertilizers and pesticides are being used, exposing farmers to new hazards. Stone masons now use electric grinders and polishers instead of hammer and chisel, producing fine particles of silica, which are easily inhaled. Divers are now able to use supportive gear and dive deeper, exposing themselves to greater risks. Rapid industrialization and agricultural development has brought about large-scale migrations of population, causing social dislocation, poor living conditions, and an increased incidence of communicable and social diseases. Under-trained workers are often employed in skilled jobs and experience more accidents. In order, in order to achieve the aims of occupational health, many countries have encouraged the establishment of occupational health services for workers. There is no legal provision in Sri Lanka to compel employers to provide occupational health services for workers. Enlightened employers, both in the public and private sector, provide well-staffed occupational health services. Some important functions of an occupational health service are described below. Placing people in suitable jobs. This activity includes pre-employment medical examination and post-sickness medical examinations to determine fitness to work. In certain organizations, they conduct pre-employment medical examination and they will select people accordingly to work at different places. Providing treatment services. Early treatment of injuries, poisoning, and illnesses will prevent complications and assist rehabilitation. Controlling hazards in the work environment. Many hazards are already known and adequate precautions should be taken to ensure the safety of workers from being exposed to undue risks. Avoiding potential risks involves participation of the occupational health staff in the planning and designing stage of the new plant to ensure freedom from risks and ensuring the installation. Supervision of vulnerable groups. These groups include the young who may need initial support during acclimatization to a new environment. Educating workers and management and providing counseling. The workplace provides excellent opportunities not only for education of workers in occupational health and safety practices, but also on general health topics. Supervision of sanitary and welfare facilities. It includes the supervision of sanitary and washing facilities to ascertain whether adequate numbers are provided and whether they are maintained in good condition. The supervision of catering facilities as well. Prevention of environmental pollution outside the workplace. The environment within the workplace is the responsibility of the occupational health staff. However, they should also ensure the environment outside the premises, outside the factory. Now we will see principles of accident prevention. So what is the definition of an accident? Any unplanned event that resulted in injury, ill health to people, or damage or loss to property, plant, materials, or the environment, or a loss of business opportunity. That is given as the definition of an accident. Principles of accident prevention. Then in certain research studies, they have indicated accident statistical studies. This varies from time to time. So accordingly, recent studies, when you get 300 non-injury accidents, so then it will come to minor accidents. 300 non-injury accidents will face finally minor accidents, then 29 minor, if 29 minor accidents occurs, then in that situation, it can lead to one major accident. It's a rough idea about the accident statistics, and this will vary from time to time. Principles of accident prevention. Economic reasons, humanitarian reasons, and legal reasons. Now we will see what are these things one by one. Humanitarian reasons. So we will see what are the reasons. Nobody who goes to work wants to have an accident. අපි වැඩට යනකොට කවුරුත් ඇක්සිඩන්ට් එකක් වෙන්න ඕන කියලා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ නැහැ. As individual managers, we do not want people to suffer ill health or injury on our sites. Then, economic reasons. Cost to the individual, the company, and to the country. Those are the economic reasons. Insurance costs. Damage to product, material, plant and building, tools and equipment. Legal costs. Those are the economic reasons. Production delays. Continued. Again, under the economic reasons, overtime working. Investigation time. So you have to spend some time for investigation the accident. Supervisor's time diverted. Clerical effort. So we have to record all these activities under the accident. Loss of expertise and experience. Then we'll see the components of an accident. Pre-accident. The accident. The results of the accident. Causes of accidents. Unsafe acts of persons and unsafe work conditions. These are the causes of accidents. Unsafe acts. Working without authority. There are certain people, they work in places without the proper authority. Failure to warn others of a danger. That's also a very important thing. Unsafe act. Leaving equipment in a dangerous condition. Misusing equipment. Wrong speeds. Disconnecting safety devices such as guards. Using non-defective equipment. Using equipment the wrong way or for wrong tasks. Failure to use or wear personal protective equipment. Again, unsafe act. Bad loading of vehicles. Failure to lift loads correctly, either mechanically or physically. Being in an unauthorized place. Unauthorized servicing and maintaining of moving equipment. Horseplay. Smoking in areas where it is prohibited. Drinking alcohol or taking non-prescribed drugs. Again, all these things come under unsafe acts. Unsafe conditions. Inadequate or missing guards to machines. I have explained that in earlier under the section 17 of the Factories Ordinance about the guards. Excessive heat or cold. Defective tools. Fire hazards. Ineffective housekeeping. Hazardous atmosphere. Excessive noise levels. Exposure to radiation. And inadequate illumination or ventilation. Those are the things to be considered as unsafe conditions. What can we do to prevent accidents? Principles of accident prevention. An essential first step is the risk assessment. So we have to assess the risks. For that, we have to identify the hazards, identify those who may be affected, identify the risks, eliminate risks or substitute, control the risks, record and review. An essential second step is first the risk assessment. What is the second step? That is the method statement. What is coming under the method statement? All operations requiring method statement must have them. All method statements must be approved. Method statement must be understood by the personnel undertaking the work. And the method statement must be followed. Those are the important things coming under the method statement. And random checks made to ensure the compliance. Safety inspections. What is the purpose of an inspection and who could do it? Safety inspections. Purpose. Ensure compliance with the law. Ensure all are working safely within the safe place of work. Hazard spotting. Safety inspections. Who could do it? Senior management. Contractors management. Safety advisors. Enforcing authorities. External consultants. Insurers. Plant inspectors, etc. Safety inspections, who could do it? You, as engineers working in factories and other places, you have to do the safety inspection. That is our duty as engineers. Accident preventions through, there are 4 things to be considered as indicated in the diagram. Information, then instructions, then training and supervision. It's in a circle thing. So again, information, instruction, training and supervision. Accident reporting. In the factories ordinance clearly indicates about accident reporting under the section 61, where any accident occurs in a factory which either causes loss of life to a person employed or number 2, disables any such person for more than 7 days from earning wages at the work at which he was employed. A written notice of the accident in such form and accompanied by such particulars should be sent to the district factory inspecting engineer. District factory inspecting engineers are working in the factories division of the Department of Labor in all districts. So we have to inform him. Written notice should be given regarding the accident of a factory with relevant documents to the district factory inspecting engineer. For this purpose, There's a special form called Form 10. Form 10 has been introduced for this purpose. From the website, you can download this Form 10 under the Factories division of the Department of Labor website. So it is clearly indicated. You can get a copy. Accident reporting, prevention, investigation, trends, costs, research, and enforcement. So accident reporting is very important when we consider these items: prevention, investigation, trends, cost, and you can do research, and again you can take decision to introduce new laws from time to time, and future legislation. Yeah. Review of policies and procedures. Accident book. Every accident involving personal injury to an employee must be entered in an accident book by either the employee or someone acting on behalf of the employee. In every organization, we have to keep an accident book, an accident employee or someone acting on behalf of the employee. Accident book must be kept accessible and its location known to all employees. Notification of occupational diseases, again, as I mentioned earlier, every registered medical practitioner attending on a patient whom he believes to be suffering from notifiable industrial diseases should give written notice to the chief factory inspecting engineer. That is the head of the factories division under the Department of Labor. Chief factory inspecting office engineer, registered medical practitioner attending on patient whom he believes to be suffering from notifiable diseases should give written notice to the chief factory inspecting engineer. Then, when inquest into deaths, inquirers of sudden deaths holding inquiries into deaths resulting from factory accidents or notifiable industrial diseases should ensure that a factory inspecting engineer is present at the inquiry to watch the proceedings. So factory inspecting engineers are working all over the country under the Department of Labor, under the district factory inspecting engineer, in district factory officers in right throughout the country. Notification of accidents. When any accident occurs in a factory which causes loss of life to person employed, disables any such person for more than 3 days from earning full wages if he is not coming to work more than 3 working days, makes any such person unconscious due to heat, exhaustion, electric or inhalation of irrespirable gases of fumes. Written notice, again, written notice of the accident should be sent forth to the district factory inspecting engineer according to the labor law. Then we will come to the waste management, another section. Today, Sri Lanka is facing the same problem of rapid industrialization and urbanization. Both of which, if not adequately controlled, would lead to pollution problem. The situation is further aggravated by the fact that Sri Lanka lacks necessary financial resources for prevention of pollution. In Sri Lanka, most industries, both small and large, discharge their waste to the general environment with little regard to the community at large. Industrial waste includes raw materials, as you all know, discarded factory products, intermediate products, packaging materials, sludge from treatment plants, waste from factory engines, etc., and may exist in the form of gas, liquid, or solid. Either gas, liquid, or solid. We will now look at the various methods available for the purification treatment of air, water, and solids in industry. Sorry, there's an error of moving the slides. We will see. Slides. Okay, sorry for the delay. Sorry for the delay. First step in the management of industrial waste is to minimize the generation of it. Processes could be altered or modernized to achieve this. Uh, the next step would be to substitute toxic raw materials, recovery of materials from waste or for reuse is another approach to be considered. One man's waste may be another raw material. Therefore, inter-industry coordination is desirable. Then we will see dry fabric dust collectors. These probably form the largest single group of air cleaning devices in this field and are known variously as dust collector, bag filters, bag houses, etc. Basically, they all employ a fabric filter to arrest dust or fume. They are able to cope with heavy dust burdens and a wide range of particle sizes at high efficiency. A correctly rated fabric can achieve an overall efficiency of 99.8%. The fabric dust collector must be self-cleaning, that is able to shed the dust burden collected by either manual or automatic activation of a cleaning mechanism and then continue in operation. In most, the fabric filter is arranged as tubs, bags, or envelopes mounted on supporting frames so as to form a permeable division between clean and dirty sides. The dust-laden air enters from below, passes upward through the fabric filter, and the clean air leaves via the discharge just at the top. The dust which could be shaken off collects at the bottom. The common cleaning system in an intermittently functioning mechanical device which vigorously shakes the top of the filter bags. Different fabrics such as cotton, wool, nylon, and ethylene are used depending on the properties of dust or fume. Then we will see the wet collector. The basic principle of a wet collector is to bring the contaminant into the inmate contact with water so that it is more rapidly extracted from the airstream and is absorbed directly into a water mass. Wet collectors are able to deal with both particulate and gaseous contaminants and with hot or corrosive air streams. The two common wet collectors in use are the Venturi scrubber and the self-induced spray wet collector. Water. Every workplace discharges a certain volume of effluent water out of the premises, so includes some industries may discharge relatively harmless effluent where, as in some cases, it may contain highly toxic chemicals. There are a large number of physical and chemical methods available for treatment of effluent water. Sedimentation. The principle of density difference is used here for gravity settling. This method is cheap and commonly used in Sri Lanka. The effluent water is collected in a settling tank and the solute particles settle at the bottom, leaving clear liquid at the top. The sludge which builds up at the base has to be removed regularly and further treated if necessary before disposal. Flotation. In the process of substances which floats to the top of the settling tank are removed using a skimming apparatus. An example is grease in water. For particles which do not readily float, the dissolved air flotation method may be used. In this method, the tank containing wastewater is pressurized. After sufficient time, it is allowed for air to dissolve. The pressure is released and the air now comes out of solution. Filtration. This is a process in which separation of the pollutant is accomplished by the size difference. The effluent water is forced through a porous medium, which results in retention of particles in the media. Three types of media that could be used are beds, sands, and asbestos, mesh, screen, fabric, perforated surface, certain membranes. Solids. Solids waste is in industry may consist of unused raw materials, damaged final products, byproducts, packaging materials, leftover food, etc. Minimizing the generation of such waste should be the first line of action. Then incineration. An ancient disposal technique for getting rid of waste is to burn it. Incineration, while solving one problem, creates others. They are air pollution due to smoke and unburned remains which have to be disposed of by another means. Landfill is very common thing. So this is also a very ancient means of disposing of solid waste. The solid waste is spread layers and then compacted with bulldozers before another layer is spread. After the waste is about 3 meters deep, it is covered by a layer of and compacted again. Fire. It's a new topic, fire. Fire is the result of combination in suitable properties of fuel, oxygen, and initial source of heat. This combination is a chemical reaction in which a heated substance combines with oxygen to produce heat. As you all know, light, smoke, and toxic gases. The reaction involves both heat consumption and heat production with a net production of heat. Products of combustion. The application of heat to solids and liquids produces vapors at their surfaces which ultimately mix with air to cause a fire. During combustion, in addition to the heat, new molecules are also formed. These are called products of combustion. Complete combustion can occur in a very hot, well-ventilated fire. In this situation, carbon dioxide and steam are formed from the oxidation of carbon and hydrogen respectively. Oxides of various other elements such as sulfur and nitrogen are also formed. Toxic substances can also be produced in some fires. Hydrogen cyanide can be formed from burning wool and silk. Acetic acid from timber and paper, and carbon monoxide from incomplete combustion of carbonaceous material. Ignition sources. Heat is one of the three factors necessary for combustion. It is readily available in industry from various ignition sources such as electrical apparatus and wiring, sources of static electricity, machinery, grinding, welding and cutting processes, heating and cooking processes, matches and lighted cigarettes. Control measures. Fire protection has to be planned at the design stage of buildings, taking into consideration the risks involved in manufacturing processes. High risk areas should be protected with the fire resistant walls so as to prevent rapid spread of fires. Fire resistant doors should be provided for these areas to isolate them in case of major fires where appropriate. Inbuilt systems for detecting, controlling, and extinguishing fires could be provided. Fixed automatic devices are available to extinguish fires. These operate automatically in case of fire and sprinkle water or other extinguishing agents. Safe escape routes should be provided and these should be maintained free of obstruction. Doors should be opened outwards to enable easy to exit increase in case of fire. There should be good access routes around the building to assist the fire brigade, and hydrants and other facilities for firefighting should be provided. It is desirable to install fire alarm systems in factories, and all workers should be trained in evacuation processes by conducting fire drills regularly. Preventive measures should be considered after a thorough study of the process, materials, and likely to ignite sources. This involves the identification of specific hazard areas, selection and provision of appropriated first and firefighting equipment, and the training of workers employed in these areas to use the equipment correctly. It is also important to establish good housekeeping practices such as proper disposal of waste, regular cleaning of machinery, floors and walls, and the proper storage of materials. Safety in electricity. Electricity is inherently dangerous, and like unguarded machinery, fire, steam, etc., has to be treated with respect. Causes of electrical accidents. The causes of electrical accident may broadly be classified under three headings. So what are the three headings? Defective design or construction of apparatus. Number two, failure of apparatus due to inefficient maintenance. Misuse or maloperation of sound apparatus due to failure of personnel or management of or misapplication. Analysis of causes of electrical accidents gave following figures. In various research works, it is identified that defects in design of or material 16%, sound apparatus ill-maintained 90% electrical accident, unknown causes 5. Then finally, taking unnecessary risks of failing to utilize the means provided for safety is 7. So we have to be very careful about the safety conditions indicated by the regulation. Personal failure. Accidental slipping of a screwdriver can create a flash. Management too can contribute to these errors by wrong selection of application apparatus, failure to provide safe conditions for maintenance, poor selection of staff, overloading the system, lack of supervision, lack of proper training, equipment. Hazards of electricity. There are two types. Dangers to be considered by use of electricity are two types. Personal injury, damage to property. Personal injury. Personal injuries may be caused by electrical shock, electrical burn, and arc eye. Electric shock. A. Falls from roof, cuts, dropping of tools, injury from damage to nerve issues, death from fibrillation of the heart, death due to asphyxiation, physical injury from violent muscular contraction. Electric burns. Generally speaking, an electrical burn penetrates deeply and may take a long time healing, through the appearance of superficial damage may be slight. Direct current burns tend to be more acute than AC burns due to the fact that the DC arc is more persistent than the AC arc, which latter tends to extinguish more easily at the moment when current passes through 0 volts. Burns are invariably associated with physical shock and great care is necessary in their treatment. Arc eye. This is caused by ultraviolet rays from an electric arc, for instance in arc welding, reaching unprotected eyes. The condition is very painful, causing temporary loss of sight. The victim feels as if there are sand particles in his eye. The only way in which the arc eye can be prevented is to wear eye protection of the correct type and to do welding in screened off areas. Electrical safety. So far, we have been considering the dangers associated with the use of electricity. There are a few principles which, if followed, will make electricity a good servant and not a bad master. The principles used in making electrical conductors safe are: number one, to guard them electrically and mechanically, to make them inaccessible, to install, operate, and maintain them in proper manner, to make them dead, to energize them at low voltage. We will see what are these things one by one. To guard them electrically and mechanically. Electrical guarding is achieved by covering the conductor with an insulator such as rubber, plastic, impregnated paper, linen, glass, porcelain, etc. Mechanical guarding of the insulated conductor is done in various ways, not is in various ways, and can be in the form of soft metal tubes extruded over the insulated conductors or fixed tubes through which the insulated wires were drawn, or in the form of steel armored wires of plate tapes. Number two, to make them inaccessible. Bare conductors may be fixed on porcelain or other insulators, which in turn can be supported above. To install, operate, and maintain in proper manner. The circuits and apparatus must be designed, erected, and maintained by qualified and competent persons in conformity with the best current practices, and that the operators are trained in their work. To make them dead. What does that mean? This is done by using circuit breakers or isolating switches. Conductors may also be made dead automatically on the occasion of a fault by means fuses or circuit breakers. To energize at low voltages. If the voltage is reduced, then the current also get reduced. In the case of portable electric equipment work in confined places, it is better to use low voltage. Now we will come to another section, safety in construction industry. Construction sites can be divided into two categories, as you all know, buildings and civil engineering sites. Houses, hotels, schools, and factories under buildings. Civil engineering sites, roads, dams, bridges, and power stations. It is observed that occur more accidents in construction sites when compared to factories due to the following reasons. More accidents in construction site. What are these things? Frequent change of work sites. From time to time, they change the work site. Then lack of disciplinary control, lack of planning, subcontracting of work. They give to various subcontractors, and they are not worried about the safety rules. They did not give much attention. Lack of allocating funds for safety equipment. Engage unskilled workers for low wages. Lack of proper coordination among the different categories of work groups. For example, barbenders, masons, carpenters, electricians, etc., to face different weather conditions, rain and sunshine. Safety procedures implementation. To prepare a comprehensive work plan at the beginning of work with the help of architects, design engineers, site engineers, technical officers, site supervisors, etc. Safety precautions to prevent collapsing of walls during excavation of soil, to provide sufficient air in deep excavation. Safety precautions should be introduced in scaffolding work in high-rise buildings, to maintain hoist chains, ropes, and other lift equipment regularly, as I mentioned in the regulation. Inspection of such items should be done periodically. Attention should be given for safety precautions in roof construction. Proper methods should be adopted in material handling and storage of materials such as steel, pipes, cement, sanitary equipment, etc. Laying electric cables, especially in temporary sheds in work sites, should be carefully done. Handling of explosive materials in road construction sites, underground tunnel construction site. Special attention should be given to fire safety. Then we will come to another section in the factories ordinance, health and welfare. Cleanliness. Every factory should be kept clean and free from effluvia. Then we will see the workplace space. Every person working in a factory should be allowed at least 400 cubic feet of free space. Per particular person in a factory, he should have the volume of 400 cubic feet of free space. So when we calculate the free space, we have no space above 14 feet from the floor should be taken into the account. So area multiplied by the height. So when we calculate the height, no space above 14. The maximum height should be 14 feet. Sanitary conveniences should be provided and maintained in all factories as follows. For up to 100 persons, one for every 25%. That is for male and female separate. For male, 100 persons, 25 persons, one. So for 100 people, 4 facilities, 4 places. Again, for female also same. From 100 to 500 people, one for every 40%. So 100 to 500, that is 400 people. Every 40% there should be one. Over 500 persons, one for every 60 persons. Separate facilities should be provided for male and female. Wholesome drinking water should be provided for workers, except when water is delivered from an upward jet. Cups or drinking vessels should be provided at each point of supply along with the facilities of rinsing them. Adequate and suitable accommodation should be provided for clothing not worn during working hours. Separate accommodation for male and female workers should be provided with facilities for resting to enable them to rest during the course of their employment. First aid. Every factory should have a first aid box or cupboard, contents as specified in the regulations. Trained first aiders on every work shift. Working staff should be trained for as first aiders. It is important to ensure that a sufficient number of workers are trained in first aid. Meal rooms, very important thing. Meal rooms which could accommodate at least 30%, third, one third of the total working force at any time should be provided. When in any room lead, arsenic or other poisonous substance is used, no person should be permitted to partake food or drink or to remain in such room during intervals allowed for meals or rest. There shall be kept in every factory or in such place outside the factory as may be approved by the factory inspecting engineer a register called a general register. There's a book called the general register. The following details have to be entered. All these things have to be entered in the general register. All reports and particulars required by the provisions of the factories ordinance to be entered or attached. Details of accident and industrial diseases occurring in the factory of which notice is required to be sent to the labor department. Young persons employed in the factory. Such particulars as may be prescribed as to the washing, whitewashing or color washing, painting or varnishing of the factory. All these details has to be entered in the general register. Then we will see some details about the factories division of the Department of Labor. Enforcement of the factories ordinance to ensure safety, health and welfare of workers in factories through the following activities. Enforcement and implementation of the factories ordinance, inspection of factories, approval of building plans, attend coroner's court to give expert evidence, investigation complaint, investigation of accident, institute legal actions, conduct safety awareness programs to prevent accidents, analysis of accident, appointment of authorized officers, as I mentioned earlier, the competent people, issue of certificates under the ordinance, making of safety posters, leaflets, short films, etc. The other important activities, advisory services for improvement of work environment in factories, participation in national committees with regard to occupational safety and health, safety auditing and of factories, preparation of curriculum on safety, health and welfare for educational institutions such as Construction Industry Development Authority, SIDA, National Apprentice and Industrial Training Authority, NAITA, National Institute of Business Management and National Institute of Plantation Management. These are some examples. There are so many other organizations. So when these training organizations, when they prepare curriculum on safety, health and welfare, they can consult the factories division of the Department of Labor to get their advice when they prepare syllabuses and other things. These are the existing legislations, as I mentioned earlier, under the Factories Ordinance number 45 of 1942. These are the amendments. From time to time, you can go through the Department of Labor Factories Division website. You can see these ordinances. You can get a copy of these things in to get an idea. In addition to the above, following regulations are also ineffective. These are the regulations from time to time. Under the Factories Ordinance, these regulations are gazetted from time 1960, number 1, sanitary conveniences, 1965, dangerous occurrences of notification, 1965, and so on. These are the, there are so many new things, so you can again go through the website, Factories Division. So that is the end of my lecture. My current email address is as given there. The mobile number is there. If you have any clarification and further advices or anything, you can at any time you can call me under this number, or you can send an email to me for any clarification about the lecture. And this lecture, the IESL is, I think, they are putting it in the YouTube. You can go through it. I have given all these slides to the IESL office.